Uh-oh. Is this thing on? Hey there, it's Rye, and this is the Hold On With Me podcast, a safe space where we talk about the real, relatable pieces of life. Because who really has it all figured out? I definitely don't. But I'm so glad you're here, and I hope we can grow as we go together. Today, we have the privilege of talking to someone that I really admire and who is my uncle, Bryan Searle. Thank you for being here, Bryan, on this episode today.
Thank you.
So glad to have you. So first, just to begin, Bryan, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of the season of life that you're in now and how you've got to that point.
Well, first I have to say that Riley's my favorite niece, but don't broadcast that very far. So
we can gut that out. Just kidding. Hey, you heard it first. I'll take it.
It's great to be here. You know, we're born into families in this life, and you just never know where you're going and what's going on. But it's been a good journey, and I had the privilege of having good parents, one brother and 5 sisters, and we grew up on a farm and continue to farm today. And then I was blessed to be married 43 and a half years ago to my good wife, Mary. And we've been blessed with 5 children who are all married, and we've been blessed with 17 grandchildren who are the joy of our life. We love that time, and I've progressed along to a point where you never think you would get there, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you kind of look in the mirror and say, you look kind of old. So I've hit I'll be 65 next month. There's nothing magic with that. I'm going to keep going strong.
Yeah.
But I have cut back on a few things, and one of them is my involvement with the Idaho Farm Bureau, American Farm Bureau.
Thank you. Yeah, you've been busy. You've had a lot and a lot to be proud of too, for sure. You mentioned the Farm Bureau. So now you're not the president now, right? You've served your time. And can you tell us a little bit about that experience though? Like what was the pull to even go for that, to be involved with Farm Bureau?
I think it all started right after we were married. So it started over 40 years ago. And I've always been a big believer that you shouldn't sit and complain about things unless you're willing to be involved in what's there. So when we were 22, 23 years old, I had a cousin, Kevin Searle, came over and introduced me to Farm Bureau. He showed me and talked to me a little about it, and he said, there's a conference coming up for young farmers and ranchers. Would you like to go? We went, we loved it, and we continued to be involved through that, had leadership opportunities to serve there as a county chair and learn how that functions, and right on up to a state chair where I had an opportunity to serve on the state board. After that, then I had a chance a couple of years after that, an individual serving on the state board of the Idaho Farm Bureau said he wasn't going to run for that position anymore and said, you should throw your hat in the ring. So I did, and I was elected, and I served there on the state board as a board member. And so through that time, as I continued to serve over 20 plus years as a board member, it was like, you know what? I either need to probably go home or do something else because you put all that time in, or I need to step up and run to be the president. And so I did. And I had to go up against a challenger who had been there 18 years. And I kind of thought was going to step down and step down and step down. Never did. So I challenged him. I won that election. And so I jumped in, and Mary and I, had the opportunity to serve for 10 years. Great, great experiences. Met most amazing people from this state and throughout the nation because of our ties through the insurance. It provided opportunities to serve on other boards. So just been an amazing experience, from walking down the halls of the Capitol, visiting with legislators, talking about our policy, to talking to our members here in the state, to working on national issues, serving on the American Farm Bureau Board of Directors. How did all this happen? I don't know. I was just kind of a simple little farm boy. And to be honest, I don't have a college degree. All my degrees are School of Hard Knocks, and what a privilege to learn from those. So
Yeah. But as you've made decisions and made these pivots in your life, you've gained so much knowledge and experience because of that. So was there any challenges along the way that you had to learn from?
You know, I've always had a pretty strong opinion, and I must say that I wasn't as good a listener as what I should have been. I'm a little better today, and I still have room to improve. Thank goodness for long life to be able to do that. But I remember, for example, serving on the board of directors, and I remember we'd be talking about something, and we might start to get pretty passionate about it, and there'd be both sides talked about. And as I'm debating my thoughts, there was times in my head I thought, I think you're wrong, Bryan. And in my head, it's like, but I can't admit that in the middle of this. The longer I've gone, I've found that I'm not afraid to say, maybe you're right. I see your side. I see what you're talking about. And opening up your mind, and that has flowed over into your personal life, your relationship with your spouse, with my good wife, Mary, your children, whatever you do. And that was one of those lessons that was like, I think back to those days and I, I answered pretty quickly, but it was not well thought out. So a couple lessons was think before you speak, and never be afraid to own something that you've done wrong, or you may were on the other side to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And that's still a work in progress, but
We're all learning.
we are, and that's
Yeah.
life.
Well, I do appreciate you sharing that though and being vulnerable because it is hard to admit. What did you do specifically to help to work on these things that you recognize?
Well, my tongue's probably 2 inches shorter because it was like, bite your tongue before you speak.
Just hold it. There you go. That's all we need to know.
I think mentally, just to have an open mind that it's not about being right or wrong. It's more important to just try to listen first. And we just want to jump in, and give this answer. And I got so much, when in reality, what you're thinking may not even pertain to what's going on. So mentally, just saying, I want to be a better listener. I think the best part of communication does not come from our mouth, it comes from our ears. And when we are a good listener, we are so much more effective than just trying to think of what to say next and interrupting and whatever. And again, these are things that are still work in progress. These are just things that I've tried to do.
I really like how you said, don't be afraid to say what you're feeling and what you're thinking, but also be willing to listen to somebody else and see their perspective on things because nobody thinks the same. We're all unique for a reason. And how boring would it be if we all thought the same
Oh,
things?
that'd be terrible. I can't imagine everybody being Bryan. Oh, it'd be horrible.
I don't want everybody thinking what's in my brain either. Yeah,
I with that being said, I think all of us just want to be heard
right,
and
for sure.
validated, that we actually were heard, whether that's in your personal life, etc. But when people want to be heard, you have to that relationship to where it can't be one sided, nor can communication. So working that and allowing others to be heard, then we understand each other so much better to accomplish the good.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more healing than that. It invites a love into the relationship, into the conversation, and it just allows you to grow even more.
The relationship and the love takes me to an experience where I remember we had some presidents and their spouses come out, the Utah president and I did, to St. George to build that relationship. Also, on one of the events, the American Farm Bureau president, President Duvall, and his wife, Jennifer, was with us, and we were in southern Utah, and if I remember right, there were 6 couples, and we stopped for lunch in a little tiny cafe. Um, And then all of a sudden there was kind of a little bit of commotion with President Duvall and something was going on. And so we asked what was going on. And he had a niece, if I remember right, was going to have a baby and it was having some serious issues. So the love that we had built, though though he was Southern Baptist and I'm another religion and there was other 4 or 5 other religions, it did not matter. We with love stood up, held each other by the hand, and we prayed to a God that we could feel his love and that they could feel his love and be blessed in their life. That to me is what it's all about. It's bigger than trying to solve, a problem with labor or trying to solve the border crisis or whatever the issues are. What you just talked about, that love can be so deep that you would do anything for anybody else, because they're just like your own family,
Mhm.
and that's the neat thing about it. You become that close then, and the cool thing is, then you can have a conversation, and you can agree to disagree, and go to dinner that night and still be friends
Mhm.
because it's deeper, much deeper than just I'm have to put up with you and we'll work this. So,
But how cool that you could all be there for each other, even though you don't have the same beliefs, but you were able to come together and just love. When you just focus on just loving the person and seeing them for just who they are, not necessarily focusing on the differences, it can bring so many more opportunities or great experiences to heal and to grow and learn together.
well, and I think it's a good point because everybody has some good. And I think sometimes what we see or what we want to judge on is something that we don't like about somebody. We see that animosity in our nation with politics. What do you see on the news? There's not much about any love. It's all we hate them and we hate them and we're going to get even with them and whatever. But that um, working together is just, I mean, that's how you get things done.
Mhm. Yeah, it's collaboration, teamwork. You can't do it all by yourself. When you try to do it all by yourself and you're just climbing the mountain and you're not really you're not gonna get as far as you would if you had others lifting you and carrying you and pulling you along. Go
Well,
ahead.
it kind of takes me to being a parent. There's times you're like, oh, you teenager, I want to just have you do this. But in reality, it goes back to the relationship.
Mhm.
For every day, how much I didn't know. And I think that's, and then how smart your parents really were. And we hear that often is like, okay, because it's easy to sit there as a 17-year-old and judge, or a 30-year-old, or a 50-year-old and say, well, what's the big deal? You're 80, just buck it up and go. And it's like, no, it's a different life. It's a different
Mhm.
time. We need to be understanding.
Yeah, definitely. And it something that I heard a while ago, it was like everybody's going through life the first time. Whether you're 80 years old, they're still at that stage of their life trying to figure it out and navigate a new normal. And yeah, they can, we can say, well, you just need to do this, but we don't really know because we're not in their shoes. We don't really understand what they're going through and what they truly need. We only know that for ourselves. So, do you feel like in those moments and during all this experience that there were times where God did show up in your life where you could
Oh,
say, okay, this is all
oh,
working out for your good?
definitely. Every day, every day. We are weak without the support of a living God and family, our beliefs. That that brought the peace, that brought the direction and the clear mind where you could kind of sort through the chaos, if you could say, and bring peace to your life and know that you're being lifted and guided each day. And I've just seen God's hand in every aspect. And I think of my good friends who are not of this, we're not of the same faith. And I've talked about President Vol on this podcast, but he's Southern Baptist. He's from Georgia. We don't start a meeting without prayer. And I admire that, where doesn't matter the religion, we're able to start it with prayer and include God in the things that we do. I feel guided and directed. I feel like now was the time. Mary and I decided 2.5 years ago that we would. This is an elected position, so you're elected for a 2-year term, and so 2.5 years ago we decided when we were up for election that we would run one more term, and that was a matter of prayer and thought, and again guidance, and it is the right time. We've give our all, and it wears you down, and so there's a time to be effective in what you can do, and um, you get tired of airplanes and hotels and delayed airplanes and things that don't fly.
All the things we
Yeah.
feel are so glamorous that maybe you were
Yeah, I'm like, push me out the door, Mary, make me go get on the plane. I love the meeting. I love the people.
funny.
Even all the board meetings, you'd get a 400-page board book for this board or that board or that board or that board. And it
Mhm.
was just like, there's a lot there. And I want to give 110%. And if I can't give 110%, you know that. But it was by the guidance and comfort and direction that we were able to do what we did, and be a part of such a neat opportunity by his hand and support.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And honestly, it goes to show that all the experiences you had and you've grown a lot and now you're I feel like you're more prepared and ready for this next season of your life. Well, thank you for what you've shared.
You bet.
I do have one last question for you though.
Hope it's easy.
It is. Well, I don't know. Let's see if it's easy.
We'll find out.
So, Brian, I'm just curious, what is something that people wouldn't know about you that you nerd out about?
Hmm. So
Could be anything,
I don't know
really.
about nerd out. Nobody knows, but I'm really passionate about. Oh wow.
We stumped him.
I knew you'd get me on one of these. I knew that was coming, but
I tried to make it really easy for you.
and this people know, but the number one thing in life and our whole passion is our family. And I think of our family and 17 grandchildren. There's more joy there than will fit in the world. And so I'm very passionate about helping them feel their value, their importance, because
Mhm.
there's times they feel like, I'm not as good as whatever. So I'm very passionate about building them for the future. At the same time, not giving them any false hopes, but letting them know life is hard. So
Mhm.
I take a lot of interest, and I commit all I can to helping them. We just had 4 grandchildren stay with us for a week, and the neatest experience. And it took me back to when I was a father. But what I learned by spending 24 hours a day with them, there's things that I didn't recognize by the busyness of life, because we just go and we're involved and involved. And I know my life is slowing down with not being the president of Farm Bureau anymore, but I saw them for who they really were. And it was like, okay, Oakley, you probably need this. You need a little more time to think about getting ready. Whereas older brother Jack, he's up at 6. He's all showered. He's all dressed. He's just chill. We're all different. So I'm passionate about that, and I'm very passionate about time out. I need time out to find a nice sandy beach and
Yep.
find time for oneself to really just sit and look at the ocean and allow, your thoughts and things just to calm down. And I have
Mhm.
always been passionate about date nights with Mary, just a time out. In fact, I remember our children one year, we'd always go on Friday nights. We'd go on a date night. And I can remember one time we didn't go, and our kids were like, "You guys okay? What's going on?" So
They noticed.
I don't know, I've just been
Uh-huh.
passionate that time. I think my dad's words have always stuck with me. When you work hard, and when you play hard. And I think
Mhm.
you can define hard however you want, but you need to just relax.
I love that. That's so tender. Honestly, the common theme that I would take from that is that you are passionate about building experiences and memories for your family and for your life and instilling the confidence and letting people know that they're capable and just seeing them for who they are. I think that's a pretty good thing to
Spot
be
on.
passionate about.
It took a
I
minute
think
to
it's
find it,
great.
but it's
You
like,
got
that's
it.
my passion. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for what you shared today and letting us just hear and feel of your goodness in your heart. And you had a lot of you've had a lot of opportunities to grow, and it's just an awesome legacy that you've built. And so glad that we could learn from you today, Bryan.
Well, thank you. And I'm still learning. That's the fun part about life.
Me
I just
too.
think that we never arrive. We never figure everything out.
True.
But it's been fun today to kind of reminisce about some of those things and helps us again to recommit and do the things that really matter the most in our life. And we get so much help from working with others and
Yeah.
from a God above. So
Well, I feel inspired because I can learn from somebody you're only a little bit older than me, not too
couple
much
couple of
older.
years, like 45 years old or whatever.
But I promise we appreciate learning from older people who've already kind of gone through the ropes so we can, learn more and try to be better than last. So, thank you so much. And just to end, Bryan, I hope you always remember that it's you, me, God. We got this. Keep holding on with me.